What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with a brand new episode review of Love and Marriage Detroit, you guys. Jesus be offense with this show. I don't plan on being on this live with y'all anytime long today. We're going to be in and out, and that is all that the good Lord has for me on this good Sunday afternoon, on this good Sunday morning. In and out. Nothing less, nothing more. So before we just go ahead and get into it, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel, you guys, and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a huge solid favor, you guys, and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and sharing the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's just go ahead and just jump into this episode of Love and Marriage Detroit, shall we? Again, Jesus be offense with this show. Um, hey Shayna, you said let's see what Detroit was talking about. Honestly, it wasn't talking about nothing, but I'm gonna give it. My goal is to be on here for 20 minutes or 20 minutes or even less. Because honestly, Detroit just ain't that girl. Next week is the season finale, and I'm really ecstatic about the fact that it's almost over and they got a two-part reunion. And I'm not understanding why these people have a two-part reunion for a season that has just not been the best. Like nothing has been good about these Detroit at all, in my personal opinion. But yeah, let's talk about it. So this episode, where do we start? So it kind of picks up where the last one ended with Anthony and Brandon having a confrontation with each other. Honestly, I just think it's pretty stupid if we're being honest with each other. I don't think it makes any sense to me. Um so at one point in this episode and this scene particularly, um Anthony was like, he could stop the showcase, but he didn't. I was like, how can you stop the showcase? Who are you? Who are you to try to stop this man's showcase? Again, like I said, I just don't really care too much about it, but I just don't understand the arguments for me with Love and Marriage Detroit. They don't make any sense. And I think that's where my problem lies at with Love and Marriage Detroit. The arguments that they have with each other, I just don't necessarily understand them. And I wish that they made a lot more sense to me. But unfortunately, they make no sense to me whatsoever, right? Um, so good old YouTube. Done already demonetized this video. It is what it is. I really honestly don't care. Honestly, I don't. But back to this. Yeah, it's stupid. It makes no sense. I'm currently, like I said, I'm just really confused about a lot of things. The arguments, like the fact that if you know that Brandon has this issue with Lyreek, why bring him on? It's just you're just adding fuel to the fire, so to speak, right? That's just what I get from oh boy Anthony. That's all I get from him is that he just wants to do that. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys the name of the title of this episode. This is season 1, episode 9. The title of this episode is "You Got to Come Back to Detroit." I'm over this show if you guys cannot tell. So, um, at one point in this episode, we saw that Brandon was talking to Christina, right? And Brandon was telling Christina how Anthony wants to bring her boy on. I was like, why don't you just say the man's name? So she said, "Who is my boy?" He said, "Lyric." Why do we call him Lyric? Why don't we just say Lyric? The man's name, if you look at it and sound and try to sound that out, that is Lyric, not Lyric. Then she said the man's name ain't even Lyric. She said his name is Sean. I was like, oh, okay. I really didn't care, but I'm like, so Sean Lyric. Why didn't he just again? Why did he not name himself Lyric? Like, God, please let this show end. That's all I ask is just to let this show end. So So Brandon, before there was Brandon and Christina, Christina had worked with Sean, who she calls him Sean. They had worked together, and I think he might have wanted to get serious with her, but she broke it off and just let the friendship ride. I don't care. So then we see them as they had dinner with each other. So they had the final dinner of this trip, right? So Christina brought out what she called the situation box. So everybody wrote something on a piece of paper and they threw it in the situation box. Now they only showed one situation that they brought up on the show, but it was all of them at the table, and I was like, wait a minute, huh? So Dr. Latoya, she pulled from the situation box, and so the question that she pulled out, it was like the question said, for the men, how would you like your wives to initiate sex, right? So Bravo said, fellatio, just pull it out and go, pull it out, grab it, and go to work. I was like, well, okay, I guess if that's what your wife likes, then hey, that's what she likes. Like you can't initiate sex. You can't do that. I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. I honestly don't really care. I'm over this show. So after dinner, we see the ladies. So they're sitting out by the fire pit, right? So then Christina, she went and talked to Dr. Latoya, and she was asking Dr. Latoya the question of, you know, if I've done something to you, like what have I done to you, to make you feel like I'm this big bad person, right? So Dr. Latoya tells Christina that it was, what happened between she and Kobe. I was like, ma'am, how does that involve you? What does that have to do with you? Anything that's going on between Christina and Kobe, and the fact that Christina did not call Kobe, how does that negatively impact and affect your life, lady? You are just as ridiculous as your wife, Antonia. You're ridiculous. Like, I was like, ma'am, how did, like, that's just like me saying somebody get into it with one of my friends and they don't talk for a few days. And my friend says, oh, I ain't heard from such and such. And I'm gonna be like, oh, you ain't heard from that person? Oh, we got issue. We got issues. No, we don't have issues. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm going to be a neutral, like with Dr. Latoya. I just wish she was neutral, but she's not. You've clearly picked a side, and the side that you've picked is the side of Kobe, right? You could be neutral. If Kobe had said, "Oh, she hadn't reached out to you," the girl just be like, "Oh, okay." It ain't much I can do with that. There's actually nothing I can do with that. So, yeah, everything that she was talking about, it was just literally all about her and her. It was never anything about. It was never anything that she did to Dr. Latoya. I would have even thought she would have brought up the situation about Brittany. She didn't even bring that up. But it was the fact that you didn't call Kobe. Like, lady, make it make sense. Again, please end this show, by the way. Next week is the finale. And again, like I said, I'm ecstatic, but I'm not ecstatic about the fact that we got a 2-part reunion. This season ain't even been worth 2 parts. Hey, Greta, how are you doing this morning? Yeah, this season has just not been worth 2 parts, a 2-part reunion, but that's neither here nor there. Where are we at now? So yeah, I guess I guess they made amends with each other. It ain't nothing to make amends about because once again, like I said, Christina hasn't done anything to Dr. Latoya. So once again, call me confused, but yeah, if it is what it is, I honestly don't I don't care, you guys. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. So yeah, you guys, I'm trying. I don't think I don't think that this is gonna be anything a long review. I said I was gonna try to make it at least 20 minutes, but I don't even think it's gonna be. I don't even think it's gonna be 15. I don't even think I'm surprised it's already at 9. Yes, Greta, you heard correctly. A 2-part reunion. Again, I asked the question of what did they give for a two-part reunion. This episode right here, for it didn't even this episode didn't even give anything. Like, this episode was the only interesting part about this episode is this damn man's movement, and we're gonna talk about that in a little bit too. That is the only interesting part about this episode, and it's not interesting in a good way, right? So speaking of the man's movement, let's go ahead and jump into it, right? So we see Bravo. So Bravo is having a meeting with Anthony, right? And they're talking about the man's movement. So Bravo wants to bring in someone to come to this man's movement and talk to the men, right? Who do you guys think he's bringing in? He talking about, yeah, he's put Huntsville on the map. He got black wine bar. He got black this and black. I was like, oh my God, you guessed it. He's bringing in Marcel Scott. I was like, OMG. I actually forgot that Marcel then was from Michigan. I literally forgot about that. So Marcel came in. Anthony is telling Marcel what the man's movement is supposed to be about, and him verbalizing what it's supposed to be about. It sounds good, but then when we get to the execution, it was piss poor, right? So the man's movement is supposed to be about teaching, educating men about policies, and I was like, okay, that's a good thing. So you would want somebody who works in the political realm to come through and speak to these people, right? Then he talked about telling people how to vote. So that means you would want someone to come in who knows the voting system, knows all those the rules and regulations. You think you would have that, right? Men's health. You would also, he said man's health, but men's health. You would also want someone to come in to educate men about, what ages to, get your prostate checked and all that kind of stuff, right? And then he's talking about internships, right? And I was like, okay, that's fine. That explains having Marceau there. That explains having Bravo there. It doesn't explain you being there because we still 9 episodes in don't know what you do for a living because you just a jack of all trades. And I'm not trying to be shady, but yeah. So Brandon and his mom. The scenes with Brandon and his mother, um, they were a little interesting to me. So Brandon has a lack of communication, and he attributes that to his mother, right? And honestly, looking at him and his mama talk to each other, I definitely do see that you're correct, Brandon. There is a there is a communication issue with you and your mama, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if that's maybe how she was raised or what, but yeah, there is no communication with them because they sat there so awkwardly. You wouldn't have even if you were just walking by your TV screen, you just happened to have it on there, and you didn't even know what was going on. You would have thought that was the most awkward scene that I've ever saw. Right. So Brandon is talking to his mom about going to therapy, and she agreed to go to therapy. But I was like, I don't know. But when she was talking, I was like, this woman, I believe she's just okay with being okay. And even when they were in the therapy session, I'm sorry, Brandon, but your mom is okay with just being complacent because nothing. She doesn't. It doesn't seem like she wants to change anything with your relationship. Those are my personal. That's my opinion. I definitely want you guys to tell me if you guys saw something different. But from what I saw, Brandon, your mama don't want to change the dynamics of your relationship. I think she's happy with it where it is. She said she told you she loved you. Now, I will say, with my mom used to say, I loved you all the time when I was a little boy, right? But as I did get older, we didn't say, I didn't say I love you to her and she didn't say it to me, right? But I still knew at the end of the day that my mom loved me. She showed me her love in different ways. It wasn't, she definitely hugged on me, loved on me. So I knew my mama loved me, but his mama, I just yikes. She said she stopped saying it after a certain point. But here, even if you stopped saying it, did you make him feel the love? Because it was very interesting. There go a plane flying over the house, over apartment. Greta says mother is set in her ways. She absolutely is, and I don't see his mama changing at all. Yeah, Brandon, I don't think your mama's gonna change. I think your mama is literally set in her ways. So I wish Brandon nothing but the best, and I wish his mom the best. But I just don't think that lady's wanting to change. I think she's fine the way she is in her old age. So Yeah. So then we get to this man's movement. What was it? Who organized it? This wasn't this it looked like they were in a church from what you see. It looks like they were in a church and there was no kind of setup there. It was just a podium, a microphone, and some chairs against the wall. When they first got there, it was just Anthony and Latoya. Then Bravo showed up. Then Colby and Russell showed up. Then Brandon showed up. Then after that, Latoya's dad showed up, and the men start to pour in. When I tell you, Brandon was one line when he said it was about a half a dozen men in there. I didn't even take count of how many men were in there. Marceau also showed up. I was just so confused by this man's movement. Again, who organized it? Even Latoya asked, "Y'all don't have any tables? Y'all don't have any chairs? Where's your flyer? Like, where's your banner? You don't have anything. You don't have a banner. Like, who organized this mess?" I was looking at this, thinking to myself, what if this is supposed to empower people? If this is supposed to empower men and make, be a movement for men, we missing a whole lot of stuff. I get that this is his first thing, and I saw a lot of people on Twitter talking about that last night, right? Saying, "Oh, well, this is just his first time, so you have your bumps, and you have your bumps when you start out for the first time." I get that. I'm off. I know that when you try something for the first time, that you're gonna have some, you're gonna have some setbacks. Everything is not gonna go the way that you want it to go. I absolutely understand that. I get that. But this was completely disorganized, right? I don't. If you notice in the scene, he said they changed it multiple times and they changed the times as well. So I was like, that's not a good sign. So then I was like, are there any flyers? Like, where are the flyers? Where are the flyers? Then those men that came in there, I was like, these are like paid extras. I'm like, these men look like some paid extras. So Dr. Latoya's dad, he got up and gave a little speech. Marceau gave a speech. Bravo gave a speech. I'm sorry, but I wasn't listening. Child, what really threw me last night was when the Twitter page tweeted talking about, "We see y'all. What do y'all see?" I saw nothing. Greta says you can tell Carlos stopped these random men on the street and gave them gift cards to film that scene. Yeah, those men were definitely paid to be there because I'm sorry. That was just very random. It was so odd. It was so oddly placed. It was not planned well. It was not executed well. Because if we're going back to what he said, the man's movement was right. The man's movement is about, educating men on policy, voting, right, voting, men's health, and internships. Then you should have reached out to people in the community to ask them, like, if you got nurses, doctors that you cool with, you should have said, "Hey, I want to put this event together, and I want to educate men about, men's health, right? Prostate exams, or whatever, prostates, mental health, physical health, all that kind of stuff. Can I get you to come? This is going to be the first time that I'm doing this, but I really would love it if you would come out and speak to the men, right?" And then people with voting come out with, if you want to talk about voting, why not have someone there who can register, if they're not registered to vote, register them to vote in that moment. That was a missed opportunity. I think this was just a scene for this show, but it was a terrible scene for this show, right? At least if you're talking about what you want to do for the men, have people there who can actually speak to the men about what you want to talk about, right? So like I said, men's health, mental health, any kind of health, have a health expert there, right? Internships, have some people from the community who can mentor these young men and give them opportunities. Voting, have someone there that can register them to vote. And then you're talking about policy. I'm pretty sure there's some big name political figures in Detroit, right? You can have the mayor there. You can have anybody there who can talk to these men about policy. You missed the opportunity. And like I said, I think that this was just a scene for the show, but it was horrible. So after he did the little speech, right, He said, "Okay, we finna go out and do this march." I was 100% with Brandon in this scene. What did y'all do? And this is what on Twitter page said, "We see y'all. What did y'all see?" All I saw was a bunch of men just walking up and down, walking up the street in a single file line. I didn't see anything. I saw nothing. I was with Brandon. If we're like when you have a march, you have a mission when it comes to your march. You have you have a bullhorn, you have a chant that you guys are chanting, and you have signs. This was just an exercise for these men at this point. Like, what the hell? Guerrero said, had Latoya organized this event, it would have been successful. Anthony has no clue. I agree. Because despite the fact that I don't really see it for Dr. Latoya, when she came in there, when she was asking him, where are the tables? Where are the this, the that? I think if he had let her organize this, it would have been a lot better than what he got, because it was nothing. And even after they did the march, right? Brandon still said he's still confused about it. I was with Brandon. It was very confusing. But then Colby, she's gonna say, "Well, I understood what at first I didn't understand, but now I do understand." Well, girl, if you know what he meant, enlighten Brandon and the viewing public, because if not, please shut the hell up. Like, I really don't like Colby at this point. I've tried, well, actually, let me scratch that. Let me run that back. I don't like any of them. I don't like any of them. That's the easiest thing I can say. I don't like anybody on this cast, but I feel like she did that to just stick it to Brandon, because nobody else actually scratched that. Even Bravo in his interview with the producer said he still doesn't understand what it is. He saw better organization from his daughter's ballet recitals. Like, shut up, Colby. Oh God. Thank God the next week is the season finale. Because I can't deal with another episode of this show. Greta says, "Kobe girl, please stop." Exactly. Exactly. But you were so upset about the whole. Never mind, we ain't even go back. But you were upset about the Kobe cat comment. Shayna, yes, guessing next season is a no. Next season is a hell no. If Love and Marriage Detroit gets a second season, I can guarantee you I won't be talking about it. Y'all have to find somebody else that'll be discussing Love and Marriage Detroit, because it will not be me. The only reason why I'm doing it currently is because I started this season, and my personality is, if I start something, I have to see it through to the end, right? And that's really what this is with Love and Marriage Detroit. I am really trying to figure out, how do I do the reunion? Since it's a two-part reunion, I'm thinking I might just I might combine the reunion part one and two together. We'll see. We'll see. We will see. Because here's the thing with the reunion, I don't know what they're gonna have a two-part reunion about. This season was all about Brandon and Christina. Let's keep it a buck. Yes, people are saying Anthony, kept up the mess. Here's the thing when it comes to reality TV. I think we all know when drama is being manufactured. And that is what Anthony has done this season. Anthony has manufactured drama. It hasn't happened authentically, right? The only authentic drama that has happened is with Brandon and Christina. Like, the fact that Brandon didn't tell her about his artist. That stuff was authentic. Um, that was real. But everything else since then has not been real. And I can't give them another season of my time. Absolutely not. Love and Marriage Detroit is a no for me. I feel like the only Love and Marriage of the franchise, I feel like the only one that I'm going to stick with might be DC. But we don't even know when DC is coming back at this point. But I think that'll be it, because once Love and Marriage Huntsville returns, I'm gonna finish out the second half of Love and Marriage Huntsville, and once that wraps up, I'm done with that as well. So the only thing that I'll have from Love and Marriage will be Love and Marriage DC, until they get on my nerves. They're not quite there yet, but they are teeter tottering. But yeah, you guys, if you guys watch this episode, let me know what you guys thought about it down in the live chat and in the comment section below, you guys. I went longer than what I expected to. I want to only give it 20 minutes. We're almost at 25 minutes, and I'm really tired of talking about it. So yeah, That's it, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about it in the comment section below, and I will catch you guys. I'll see you guys later on tonight for Real Housewives of Atlanta is back. Real Housewives of Atlanta is on tonight, and I think the next week is supposed to be their season finale, so that's a good thing. I don't know what we're gonna have in place of Love and Marriage, Real Housewives of Atlanta, because I think Married to Medicine is supposed to return in November, and I think Potomac returns in November. So I don't know what we're gonna have in between September, October, and into November on Sundays besides Real Housewives of New York. But yeah, you guys, that's it. We're almost at over 25 minutes. You guys, be safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Be blessed, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.